But before I say anything further, we're going to bring Pastor Steve O'Mara up here to pray us in. Oh, it's going to echo, hopefully not. Here we go.
All right. Father God, I thank you for the opportunity to come before you. God, I pray specifically for the sick and suffering that are still out there. God, I pray for those people who are lost. God, that they would find you, that they would find us, that they would find the help that they need. God, I pray that you would come down in this city, in this town, in this region. God, that you would move. God, I pray for each and every individual inside of one of these tents, God, that has a desire and a heart to serve. God, I pray that you would give them that opportunity to serve. God, that you would bring people to their doors, bring people to their tables, bring people to their knees. God, I pray that you would transform this world. God, that something like this would not need to exist anymore. God, I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right, here we go. That's gonna be trouble. Where are we echoing from? Where should I move? I'm trying. Let me just back up against the wall here. Hey, look at that. Back against the wall. I've been here before. Most of us have. All right, thanks again, Pastor Steve. Couple housekeeping things real quick before we get started. My name is Doug Bisher, and from the front here, we got the Lockport International Overdose Awareness Day Rally Table. There's some shirts that are being sold. They're very affordable, and if you can't afford them, talk to one of our committee members at that table or talk to myself, and we'll see what we can do to help you out with that. Lots of information from Narcan trainings down that to all the different agencies and different nonprofits and different organizations from our community. So please make sure at some point today, we'll have a little bit of time after the first three guest speakers to have some networking. So like I said, just try to be mindful during the time that people are speaking. They're up here for about 20 minutes, give or take, and just try to hold that down as best you can, right? We got some pizza in the back, free pizza, as you see. Some people are already getting to, and some free water back there. While that lasts, that'll be there. We got 6 Sheep Pizzas. Big shout out to Molinaro's who donated and is always supporting anything recovery community oriented, Mike Molinaro. So we're always grateful for that relationship as well. There's a bathroom. It's a little bit down there, but there's a bathroom, okay? So we used to use the hospital until we got a porta potty. Now we got a porta potty. It's handicap accessible, and independent living in Niagara County made sure to take care of that as well. I got some opening things that I just want to get through real quick before I introduce our first speaker. And I was putting this together. In the past, I haven't had a script when I come up here. I've had an agenda, but not a script, right? And I was thinking about the last 9 years that the Lockport International Overdose Awareness Day Rally has been going on, and how much of an impact that it's made throughout those 9 years, right? So first of all, I want to say good afternoon. And thanks for coming out on a holiday weekend yet again, right? We appreciate the community support always showing up. And so thank you on behalf of myself and the committee. I'm just the guy that's up here today, but I have a team of ultimate weapons behind me and volunteers that show up early and stay late and put this thing together. And we couldn't do it without everyone that's here. As we gather for the Lockport's 9th International Overdose Awareness Day Rally, we come together not only to honor those who have tragically lost their lives far too soon, but also to stand in support of their families, friends, and communities for who continue to carry their memory forward day by day. Each year, many of you return to this very park carrying photos, stories, and the deep love that you hold for your loved ones that you've lost. Your presence is powerful here. It reminds us all that behind every name, behind every candle, there is a life that mattered. A son, a daughter, a sibling, a neighbor, a friend, a parent. International Overdose Awareness Day is about breaking stigma, about speaking the truth that addiction is not a moral failing. In fact, it's a disease. And while we acknowledge the devastating pain of loss, we also unite in hope. Hope for healing, hope for change, and hope that no more lives will be cut short. Tonight, we honor the past, we embrace the present, and we commit ourselves to a future where every person is treated with dignity, compassion, empathy, understanding, and the chance to find recovery. For those who don't know me, my name is Doug Bisher. I'm a person in long-term sustained recovery. By the grace of God, and with the help of many people along the way, a lot of which are here today, I've been clean since February 20th of 2016. I've had the privilege of being a part of this very event since its very beginning. When a few of my dear friends had an idea to start this rally as a community improvement project is what it was known as, through the Lockport treatment courts and Judge Watson, hoping to bring awareness, resources, and light to those who need it most of which don't even know it exists. To see how it has grown into what it is today is nothing short of inspiring. To those of you who return year after year, your courage keeps this movement alive. To those who are here for the very first time, we welcome you with open arms and open hearts. Together, as one community, we say loudly and clearly, our loved ones will never be forgotten. So on behalf of myself and this committee, and those that we've lost, and standing together today, reminding the world that out of loss can come unity, love, and hope. We are indeed one big family driven by hope. So I say all that to say that you guys are going to hear some amazing and some very painful stories today, right? And I was talking to my committee and some members, and it's an emotional thing leading up to this very day and this very moment. And I was dreading it because I know the energy that it takes the day of and to be up here and to be talking to a lot of my friends and family members who have lost lives along the way, right? And but it comes with great responsibility and with the so I call it like a blessing and a burden, right? But I get to carry it, right? But I don't carry it alone. I got a team that carries it with me, right? And that's my community, the same community that I used to pillage and steal from and cause harm in, I now give back in, right? So without further delay, I'm going to bring up our Mayor Lombardi, to come up and do the proclamation. So if our Lockport Overdose Rally committee members could please come up here for our peer committee to come up here for the proclamation at this time, we would greatly appreciate it. I should have told you guys to stay up front. My bad. But yeah, Mayor Lombardi. Give it up for Mayor Lombardi coming out to support us. Year after year, we get the support from our leaders in our community. Thank you.
Great job. Terrific job. Wait till everybody gets up here in a position. I just want to say that it is such a beautiful day and a time to remember and a time to act. I want to thank each and every one of you and all your committees and all the people that have come out here to support today. Again, I am truly honored to not only be the mayor of the city of Lockport, but to be asked to be here today. This is my second time up here. And the first time I kind of stumbled through last year, but I think I might be able to pull it off this year. So we have a proclamation that I would like to read at this time. I don't know why they make them like this. I can't fold them. From the office of the mayor, proclamation. Whereas Western New York Independent Living is hosting their 9th annual International Opioid Overdose Awareness Day on August 31st, 2025 at Veterans Park. And whereas this day is about remembering the loved ones we have lost and acknowledging the grief of family and friends left behind. And whereas our community faces many negative influences and without the correct tools, they will have a hard time making positive choices. And whereas a local advocate group referred to as the Lockport Overdose Awareness Committee are helping to make others aware of tools they can use to save lives. And whereas Opioid Overdose Awareness Day Rally will feature addiction treatment providers, stories of recovering addicts, and a remembrance table and a candlelight vigil, and by the illuminating local business and homes purple as it sends a powerful message of support for the families in the city of Lockport affected by overdose. Now therefore be it resolved that I, John Lombardi III, Mayor of the City of Lockport, urge all citizens to join me in recognizing and supporting our community by rallying together to fight against this substance abuse disorder. City of Lockport does hereby declare August 31st as International Opioid Overdose Awareness Day. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Doug.
Appreciate it. All right, guys, thank you. Give it up for my committee. Give it up for the committee. There's so many that aren't even up here that put this work in as well. We'll take a picture intermission so we don't hold you guys up any longer. We want to get this thing started. Thank you guys so much for all the late night phone calls and allowing Dougie B to bother you with questions and answers and bright ideas. So let's get this thing started. Let's get our first presenter and speaker up here, our guest speaker, good friend, another trailblazer in our community in Western New York, not just Niagara County, but in Western New York. Man, I got a story about how I know this individual, how I met his brother and stuff like that, and it started when I got into recovery. So to be able to put this together, come full circle, and to know his brother and to see what you and your brother and the people that are close to you have been doing in this community, it doesn't go unnoticed in Niagara County. I've had a lot of conversations with you and with your brother, and to see, I'm grateful, and I've referred a lot of people to you guys because I know what you have to offer, and I don't just refer people to people that I don't know if they're wishy-washy or if they're not going to, give that care and the empathy and compassion. So from the founder of Creative Restorations, I present to you guys, introduce to some, but present to others, my good friend Chris Harzinski. Give it up for him.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Appreciate you. Thank you for having me here. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm humbled to be here. As an individual in long-term recovery myself from February 2008, I really appreciate having the opportunity to be here. So a little bit about myself before I get into this speech that I wrote. In my addiction, I would go to counseling agencies and seek out services. And most of the times I was seeking out those services, there were things that my counselor or counselors couldn't provide. Housing, food, clothing, hygiene, transportation. And I noticed that this was a huge struggle, not only for myself, but for other people that were trying to get clean and recover. So in that process of, in my addiction, I put that thought that I always had that, wow, there could be more that we could be doing, right? For people that are struggling. And I put it in my back pocket, never knowing when I would get a chance to use it again, but I knew it meant something to me. So in my addiction, I turned to criminal activities to support it. I ended up doing about 5 years incarcerated, 2 years on a parole violation, and it was that second violation that led me to my change process, which was realizing that in prison I taught individuals that were never seeing the light of day free again on how to control their anger. And they hung on every word that I said. So if I could reach these individuals, then I knew that I can reach the other people that I was walking this recovery path with every day. So I decided to take programs that were going to help me and my change process, and I signed up for Erie Community College. I became a substance use counselor, and I noticed that the same things were happening on the other side of the desk as they were on the previous side of the desk. Individuals were coming to me for services, and I was spending 80% of my time trying to link them with basic needs. And the other 20% of my time was, hey, you got a dirty urine, what are we gonna do to improve this? So I noticed that we needed something a little bit more in our community available to provide these basic needs, because Abraham Maslow says there's a set hierarchy of needs that individuals need to meet within their change process, and until they can meet those needs, they're just going to be on a survival path. So I pulled that idea out of my pocket. I took everything that I learned from each individual counseling agency I worked from, and I said, you know what? It's time. It's time for me to step out. It's time for me to take everything that I've learned in my lived experience and as well as in my career as a counselor and as a peer and provide it to our community, boots on the ground. So there was a period of time in 2023 where we lost 4 individuals in 24 hours to overdose. 2 of those individuals were close friends of mine. And it was at that moment I said enough was enough, and Creative Restorations INC was formed. I spent the first year of its existence putting boots on the ground in the Buffalo areas, going into trap houses, shooting galleries where people were actively using drugs, providing Narcan, providing test strips. If they wanted to get out of there and get into treatment, I would call, set up their admission to treatment, put them in my car and take them. And I was doing this for a year straight. Every day, 5 days a week, letting individuals know that there was someone that's walked this path before them that cares about them. So we've grown over the last 3 years to serve anywhere between 450 and 600 individuals in Erie County a month. We have a full service food pantry that if individuals are struggling with, they can come 3 days a week. We provide a Saturday giveaway from Wegmans and Feedmore that serves close to 100 people every Saturday. And we are firm believers that until a person meets those basic needs, at least rudimentarily, that they're going to always remain on that survival path. So our goal with Creative Restorations is to make the clinician's job easier. Let us take care of the basic needs so that way when the individual goes into treatment, their counselor can focus on what the client is presenting with, which is their substance use disorder or their mental health disorder. So with that being said, we've expanded so tremendously that we have 6 full-time staff, 6 volunteers. We offer services not only in Erie County, but Niagara, Chautauqua, and Cattaraugus County. So if you're on Medicaid managed care, you have a qualifying health condition or a behavioral health diagnosis, and you're struggling with your basic needs, reach out to us. We'll get you a link to 110 other community-based organizations that are doing the same thing that we're doing. It could be anything from help with finding an apartment, security deposit, payment of rent for 6 months. It could be non-medical transportation, which we provide on 2 separate contracts in all 4 counties of our Western New York area. Whatever it is underneath the basic needs spectrum, it's going to be the services will be provided to you by peers with lived experience. So on to this, what I wrote, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I want to begin by saying how humbled I am to be standing here. In 2008, I was not the man you see today. I was deep in addiction, trapped in crime to keep it alive. I abused prescription pain medications such as Loratabs, Oxycontin, and Opanas. I was in and out of jail, out of chances, and out of hope. Back then, if you'd asked me where I'd be in 2025, I wouldn't have said here. I wouldn't have said in recovery. I wouldn't have said standing here talking to you guys. But recovery gave me back my life, and it gave me a mission. A mission to never let anyone feel they are beyond saving. So tonight, I'm not just speaking as someone who has lived that darkness. I'm speaking for the thousands we've lost, the thousands still fighting, and the thousands more who will only survive if we all choose to act. Let's speak the truth. In 2023, America lost over 105,000 lives to overdose, and that's nearly 300 lives every single day. By the end of 2024, that number fell to around 80,400. That's progress, but it's still 220 people every single day who never come home. Here in New York, nearly 6,700 people died in 2023. Last year, the number dropped to about 4,500. Thousands of lives were spared, but thousands still gone.
So, good evening, and thank you for having me come and talk again. We come together in a remembrance of those that we've lost and those that are still fighting to stay alive. As a judge, I have seen the firsthand how the justice system can either contribute to the cycle or become a key part of healing. You know, for 15 years I've been a judge. I did write some things I could say, but what I like to tell you is what I do. I'm tough. And when I have people come in, I tell them all the time, this is your last chance here. When you get charged and you get into jail, it's your last chance. So let's go. I honestly ask them all the time, what are you on? What are you taking? And at first, some of them will not tell me the truth, but eventually they will. And I will say that sometimes getting them into jail for a little bit is a big help, only because they can, for 3-4 days before they see me, calm down a little bit, get a little bit clean, put them up in task, or I have Lindsay go see them. Addict to Addict is fantastic to work with. I just absolutely love them and respect everybody there. And that way, that person, when they're there, will say, it's time. A lot of times, it's time to get to rehab, to get themselves well. And you know, if you think about life, and we go back, the one thing that I think about more than anything is keeping people alive. This year was not the best year. I actually lost, I believe, 3 of my defendants. The last one that I lost, Lindsay had called me. I actually had to walk out, and I was sobbing because I know how hard they were trying. And I know how difficult it is to be addicted. But the one thing that I want to tell you about is a man that I did probably the year after I became in jail. I'll read a little bit about him. He was a young man, and he was lost, hopeless, and facing a lot of jail time. I actually talked him in to getting into rehab. And when he went into rehab, he was there for the 29 days, then he went to a long-term rehab, and then it was about 1 year later that I saw him, and the charge that he had didn't get dismissed, but it got very much reduced. And then he came back and saw me about 2 years later with his wife and his new baby. And he said to me, the most important thing that I got through him was telling him that it was his decision, his life. He had to want to live. And that's the option that we all have here. How much do we want to stay alive, or how much do we want to stay on the addiction? And that's not what we want. And you know, there's a lot of mental health issues that go along with it, which is why I highly recommend that they go to counseling and they meet with the right people and they figure out what's going on in their brain and in their thoughts and in their home, and how scared their life is and what their life really is. I don't ever put down anybody for anything. I just want them to realize that they need to live. I didn't realize how fast I would be 66 years old, and that's what I am. And I'm going to keep working and fighting for years because I care so much about everybody wanting to do the right things. And I did tell you years ago, I did grow up with some of this in my family. My decisions were not to do any of those things, and I think that's why God gave me this job. And when I do arraignments at night, we do them at the jail. There was one time that we arraigned for all the different courts. I'm on that this week. And I arraigned somebody that was from Clarence, and his parents came out. When I came out, they were waiting for me to find out if he was going to be released or not. And he was going to be released, which I wish he would have been held, only because he was, very high. And they were just beside themselves and had no idea why he was doing what he was doing and stealing what he was stealing. And I had a long talk with them, and I hooked them up with the right people. And she contacted me about a month ago and said that her son went to rehab. He's doing good. He does realize. So it's really about people wanting to just realize they're not the only ones out there with this problem. That everybody, and especially the people I work with, and Lindsay started working in my court with Addict to Addict. I got to tell you, I love being able to send people right to her to talk, or anybody that's there. And I also work with Nate from Beacon. And the nice thing is that when I arrange somebody and I say, you've got to go get tested, you know, you give them the information. A lot of times they won't call. Then they call me, they'll come back the next court date and I'll say, you didn't get your appointment. Yeah, I know, I tried. But the nice thing about having them there is they go right over there and get their appointment. And then they get in there and they start working. And nobody ever says anything's going to be perfect for a long time. But at the end of the day, what you have to do is go minute by minute to get yourself well. And anybody can call me at any time. And I tell people, stop in the court. The clerk will get a hold of me. We will do whatever we can do for anybody that needs help. And you can ask Lindsay how many times I've called her late at night or, you know, on the weekends, and just to get help for people, because life is short enough, so let's not make it shorter, okay? So that's how hard we fight. I appreciate everything that everybody does to help people, and I appreciate what I do for a living so that I can really help people. That's the most important thing. So today, we're going to remember those we have lost, which is heartbreaking, and I do cry every time. Let's honor those, though, that are fighting for their lives. Recovery is not only possible, but it's happening every day, thanks to the strength of the individuals, their family, their friends, their neighbors, whoever they have that's close with them, who's helping them and supporting them is what is the most important thing, so nobody feels alone. I thank all of you for realizing that life is short and that two choices that people have. And I just told this to a defendant last week who was really giving me a hard time, but she's okay. She's unfortunately incarcerated right now, but I said to her, you got two choices. You want to live or you don't want to live. You want to die. So come on, life's fast enough. So let's fight as hard as we can for everybody, and I will continue to do all the work that I do nonstop. So thank you so much. I appreciate all of you, and I want to thank our supervisor, Mark Crocker, for coming from the town. He supports everything that I always have to say, I need this, and he's very good at that. So thank you, everybody, and fight hard for people. Thank you. Oh, okay. Come on, girl. No, wait.
Say bye to everyone. Say bye.
Bye.
Okay, thank you.
Give another big round of applause for one of our champions, Judge Cheryl Antkowiak, who continues to fight the fight with us. I remember, well, back when I got into recovery, when I found recovery, actual recovery for the first time and gave it a chance. And I was the guy who would think that the system was built against me and it was not there to serve me and nobody cared about me. And the lady that was the drug court coordinator in Buffalo Treatment Court, her name was Pam, and that's the same name as my mom. I'm like, God, why are you doing this to me? And I was angry at like everything was like a setup, so I thought, right? And it wasn't. It wasn't. It was a lot of people like Judge Cheryl Antkowiak that just wanted to help. And I was stuck behind this film of denial, like a lot of us when we're caught in addiction, right? And people in recovery understand this language a lot more than some may, but like the Dr. Jekyll and the Mr. Hyde kind of thing, right? Dr. Jekyll created Mr. Hyde, and Mr. Hyde took over. And I remember the conversations I would have with people closest to me, like my mom and my dad and my family members, and they'd say, like, where did my son go and stuff like that. And I would be like, I don't know. Just leave me alone. And I didn't have any hope, and I didn't think that the system was there to help me until I was ready. And I actually had a chance to find recovery. So it's people like Judge Cheryl that we sit in courtrooms with as treatment court team members, right? And I always talk about when I became up here 7 years ago, that when I sat on that side of the wall, it was really uncomfortable, right? And I felt like everyone in recovery was going to think that we were like drug court informants or something like that, and they wouldn't share in meetings or something, and that's not the case. And today is about breaking down stigma, and we do this not just on August 31st, but every single day, one conversation at a time. We just try to shift the minds of the people in our communities, whether they're first responders, policemen, our local churches, bars, restaurants, getting Narcan emergency boxes in their restrooms and bathrooms. I got some numbers. We got over 200 emergency Narcan boxes in Niagara County. Those are the red emergency boxes that you'll see at places you go. And you don't have to bust it open to get it. If you're afraid that you don't know if you'll need it or if it's going to harm you, it's a no-harm drug. Narcan saves lives. I'm a product of being saved by Narcan and given another opportunity, right? And I didn't get clean, right after that save. I promise you. It took me much, much longer to find recovery, right? And Narcan does save lives. And it is literally at this front table, and it's free for the taking today. So if you're a part of a church, hi, Debbie. If you're part of a church, if you're part of an organization, if you need these emergency Narcan boxes, if you need these resources, go to these tables and talk to them. We will come and train people. We will have these conversations with whoever is necessary to have these conversations with. We just did it and trained over 150 people just in the time that we were there at the Niagara County Fair. And this year we didn't hear, not when we were there, one conversation saying, why isn't insulin free? Why is Narcan free? They should just die if they use drugs. We didn't hear that this year. You know why? Because the stigma's coming down one conversation at a time. In fact, it was people who came back to that same table because they remembered who we were because we were consistent and we're still showing up and readily available to help, right? And so yeah, long story short, Narcan saves lives, guys. Put it in your car, in your glove box, under your seat, in your trunk, have it at home, have it at work, have it in your purse, take it out of the box and just store it at the bottom of your purse. I got a sponsor that lives in New Jersey that saved a woman on his midnight shift. That he works for the railroad. The train stations and stuff like that in New York, New Jersey. And he saved a cleaning lady. She was blue, laying in the locker room this year with a Narcan that I left him prior to coming home, right? Because I had it in my car and he didn't have any. And I was like, yo, take it. You need it. Like, you never know. If you go to Tim Hortons or Burger King or a grocery store or anywhere in general, you might need it. Someone might scream, does anyone have Narcan? And you can save a life, right? And give somebody an opportunity because that's someone's son, someone's daughter, someone's mother, father, as you guys have already heard, right? So once again, thank you, Judge Sherrill, for coming out and being one of our champions year after year. Judge Watson's usually out here, but he's not available this year, so he's another one of our champions in the court systems. And we got a lot of other treatment agencies and providers from probation and task and in attendance today as well. So I don't even need to flip the page because I know who this next speaker is, and he's a dear friend, man. When I think of Nick, I think of a man of integrity, a father, an effective leader. I think of a principled husband. I think of a man of faith. And every time he says anything, his words have weight. So without further delay, I give you my dear friend, Nick Durkin. Come on, Nicky. Love you, bro.
Hello, everybody. My name is Nick Durkin, and it's an honor and a privilege to be up here to be part of the Overdose Awareness Day. Overdose has affected my life and shaped my life in every way possible, good, bad, and indifferent. I was a person who used to use drugs on a daily basis and try to hide from how I felt. My life and my story have been affected by overdose in many ways. I had a great childhood. I had two loving parents. They decided to have 6 boys in 9 years, and we were the Irish sextuplets. We were connected in every way. We were inseparable. Life was great. I didn't come from a broken home or any of that kind of stuff, so I really have no excuse. It all changed on one fateful day. In November of 2003 is where, I know this is Overdose Awareness Day, but excessive alcohol use took the life of one of my brothers. We were 21, 22, and 23 years old, and we went to go see a band, and we had a little bit too much to drink, and so did everybody else there. We were young and dumb, and we decided to get into a fight with a couple of people. After the fight was over, The guys got in their car and they ran over my little brother. It was on that day that my life changed forever. I got to watch him die for a month in the hospital, and I had anger and resentment towards God, my life, and towards everybody I cared about. I turned to drugs because I didn't want to feel. I turned to hate because it's the only thing that I accepted. For the next 20 years, I spent my life as a slave to the drug and the disease of addiction. All the things that come with it. I was in and out of jail, in and out of institutions, drug court, probation, everything in between. And I was all right with it, was really the saddest part. I was completely all right with it because I figured that's what I deserved because I lost my little brother and it was my job to protect him. I was very sorely mistaken. I dug a hole that I couldn't get out of clean. I just couldn't get out of it, and I thought my life was just deserved to die. But God had a different plan for me. He kept me around long enough to understand that I did have a purpose, that I did have a plan, that I didn't have to take all my pain and drive it into prison. I didn't have to turn the other way. I had to do something different. I tried to fill this void with every substance known to man, and it wasn't possible. Trying to fill a spiritual void with human things is impossible, and it was for me. In 2022, I was with another one of my brothers, and we were getting high, and he turned purple. I did everything in my power to keep him around that day. I didn't know anything about Narcan, so please don't pass that table with the, it's very important and it saves lives. I was lucky enough to keep him around for the 20 minutes until the paramedics came there. They saved his life, they brought him back around, and that was kind of the day my whole life changed. I still couldn't stop using because I didn't know how. I used that to build the hole a little bit deeper. But because I was involved with probation and the drug courts and everything else, they made the best decision they could for me. They sent me into a rehab, and I spent 28 days there. After the 28 days, I came out and I was filled with joy, ready to face the world, ready to change. A month after that, I wasn't ready for what was going to happen. The little brother that the paramedics saved ended up leaving this world on an overdose. He wasn't aware that cocaine was laced with fentanyl and he was allergic to it. He ended up getting poisoned and dying that day. But I had a reality to look at. Either I was going to live like I did for the last 20 years, or I was going to turn that pain and despair into purpose. I tried to flip recovery on its head. I stood up. I became the man that I was supposed to be. I went to meetings. I got involved with people. And I talked about the pain. I'm not good at speaking in front of people. I'm not good at talking. Everything I ever had, I kept inside, but I'm not afraid to talk about it today. I never thought I could get through that. But I did. And I will continue to do it because I use it as the destination for my life today. No parent should have to look at their son and realize what happened. Take the pain, turn it into purpose, do something different. I took all kinds of notes, but apparently they're not working for me. I just want to let you know that April 1st of 2022 was the last time I took a drug, prescribed, unsprescribed, or otherwise. I was a broken human being, and I took pain. Thank you. And although it's hard to feel, and it's hard to transform the things, and I think about my two brothers every single day, but I know the reality that's in front of me. I can either try to make this world a better place, or I can live like I used to do, but it wasn't a place for me. If you're sitting out here today and overdose has affected your life, don't let it drive you into the despair. Flip it on its head, try to help one other person, do exactly what we need to do, and let's make this world a better place. For too long, I've held my head down. Today I ask everybody to hold their head up high, because we are all here for a purpose. We're all here to change a life, and we are all here together. Don't go home feeling the same way that you came in here. Real men talk about it. Real men be about it.
To share further with you, that, and I use this term often, that people looked at Billy, that it was a character flaw, that he was dirty, he was weak, he was immoral, he was all of those things. Never once did anybody say to me that Philly had a disease, that Philly was sick. They all talked about the fact of the bad behavior. And what I tried to strive with people today and then is the fact that we need to focus on his recovery, not on his bad behavior. I think that people look at it and said, oh my God, he stole this. Oh my God, he lost a job. Oh my God, he did all these types of things. But nobody focused on what is it going to take to get him into the recovery and how are we going to be able to do it? How are we going to be able to handle it? I said that, it's a family disease. It affected everybody. What I didn't understand going through it was that the depth of the disease and that it was chronic, it was progressive, and certainly could be fatal. And in Philly's case, it actually was, right? So when I was going through this, and we share with families today, is to understand the depth of it. I think when I look at the number of tents that are here, I look at the number of people that care. I think back when Philly was struggling back in 2010, I didn't know that it was available, and I'm not sure that they were the type of services that are available. So when I look at the disease of addiction today, I look at it from a standpoint of hope. I look at it from a standpoint of recovery. I also understand that when people are in rehab and people are getting better, and God bless the folks that I've heard talk today that are 2 years, 3 years, 4 years in recovery with it, but relapse is a part of recovery. I had to learn that and understand it, and I didn't look at it that Philly failed. I looked at it that was part of his journey, and that he had to be able to go through that, and that's what made him a better person and being able to do what he did. The stigma of addiction with events like this is constantly changing it, and we're starting to get more and more people to know and understand what it is. And, I think that people in the past, when, I look at Billy, people in the past would say he was a drug addict or he died from the disease. And I'm very much proud of my son. I'm proud of Philly. Right? I think that the disease of addiction took his life, but it didn't define who he was. The work that he did in the 4 years that he was clean was incredible. He became the president of the Oxford House. He was an alumni speaker for Horizons. He was out on the streets helping people that he didn't even know, where people would say, hey, look, we got a friend, he's in trouble. Philly was the first one that was on his way to get out and try to help him. So I think when I look at this, I look at the different sides of it. I felt like in Philly, it definitely took Philly. It took everything from Philly. It took his education. It took his job. It took his family. Took everything from him, and it gave him nothing back. And I remember saying to Philly that, why can't you just quit? Do you see what you're doing to yourself? Do you see what you're doing to your family? And Philly said to me, Dad, if I could quit, I would quit. And he said, it just makes me do bad things. And when I heard and understand those things with Philly, it gave me a better understanding. And I remember sitting in with him one day, and he looked over at me and just said to me, Dad, he said, don't ever stop believing in me. Please don't stop believing in me. These things make me do bad. And at that point, the turning point for us is that's when his recovery started. So I would leave you with this, that it is a family disease. Focus on recovery. Don't focus on the bad behavior that comes with it. Being able to understand, I felt like Philly, at times would just break my heart. It would just break our heart looking at the things that he did. But in reality, he was breaking his own heart every day. Every day, when I think I suffered, he was suffering 100 times more. And he said to me, Dad, if you think about this, I hurt the people that love me the most. I know I hurt them, but I can't help myself with that. And that tells you the depth of the disease. But with the help that we have today, with the focus on recovery that we have today, there is hope. I think that there is hope for people and better understanding the fact of the work that the judge is doing, the work that these agencies are doing, and the fact that we're more aware of it gives us a much, much better chance. I thank you for just a few minutes of time, and God bless.
One more round of applause, please, for Phil and Joanne. Thank you. What's that? He just showed me, here, come here. You know what? Phil, come here. You tell him. Good stuff, man. More is always revealed. I love this.
I was just saying to Doug that after Philly had passed and we were able to get his clothes and get all the stuff from him, I remember that Philly always kept his serenity prayers, a little memento that he kept, and he always kept it in his right front pocket. And I wasn't able to go into, getting and retrieving some of the stuff because of the emotions that were with it. But I remember going through his jeans, and the first thing I did was go to the right front pocket, and lo and behold, as you heard the Reverend speaking earlier, the pastor speaking earlier about the serenity prayer, and I carry Philly's serenity prayer in my right front pocket. So he's with me every day.
Philly's journey is still continuing, man. And thanks for being our rock today. Thanks for showing up and being the anchor for somebody out here that's struggling to help a loved one or dealing with grief. Talk to these people. We've had Narnan out here, Elanon in the past, and different outlets. We had a speaker a few years back, a good friend who I played cornhole with, go figure, and his daughter lost her life tragically to an overdose as well. And he was a speaker here a few years back, Ray Nichols, and he didn't even know Narnan existed. And that, my friends, is exactly why we continue to do this in the 9th year, is because there's so many people out there that don't even know these resources are available. I was one of them. A lot like Philly, like Phil was just talking about, when I was trying to get help for my addiction, and every facility said, we don't take your insurance. I had all these barriers, all these obstacles, and all these reasons why I couldn't get help. So I stayed caught in that trap that much longer. And I was the undiagnosed addict at that time. I always talk about the undiagnosed, right? And I didn't know what I suffered from, and my parents didn't know what I suffered from. And they would look at me and they would say, why can't you stop? And like, let's try to get you out. Everybody wanted $50,000 to get me into treatment, right? And, we've seen the commercials. I used to be an addict, but I'm no longer an addict and things like that. Listen, I'm living with this thing. I'm thriving with this addiction that's still inside of me, right? And it still wants to manifest in other areas, and it still wants to find a way in to try to get me and put me in a corner and disqualify me from the help and things like that. And that's the importance of going to meetings and building new relationships and recovery and continuing to sustain and invest in these healthy relationships, right? And they told me I had to change one thing when I came into recovery. Everything, right? Because what I was doing was not working, right? People, places, and things. And I was blessed to hear this message, right? We're way ahead of schedule, which is great. So I'm not going to stand up here and hold you guys hostage. We'll just get out of here a little earlier tonight. But we do have another speaker, and don't leave because we have a flameless candlelight vigil and a bell ringing ceremony after our next speaker for those that we've lost in the past year since we met here. But I heard a message through a 12-step pathway, and when I was at Stutzman, I went to the treatment at this place that everybody said, you don't want to go to Stutzman. That place is terrible. That place saved my life. That place did exactly what it was supposed to. And they had this place come in, this 12-step fellowship, and they, planted a seed of hope without me knowing. And they said an addict, any addict, can stop using drugs, lose the desire to use, and find a new way to live, which was the most important piece for me. Because I had already stopped using drugs. And I heard this message 4 weeks in a row. So the seed was watered and the soil was on top of it. And by the 4th week, I was ready to go to this place. And when I got almost administratively discharged, go figure, the story of my life, right? Always falling short. If my teachers could only see me now, Nick, you know what I mean? A leader for my family and in my community at times, right? And this guy almost kicked me out because I was falling short, right? And acting out because I didn't know how to live clean. I didn't know how to not feel, right? And I was chasing a feeling my whole life, right? Inadequacy. I just wanted to fit in. I wanted to be loved. I wanted to just be a part of whatever it was, whatever circle I was in. And I remember when I got picked up, when I got out of treatment, and he gave me an opportunity. Robert Chapman, the director at Stutzman, instead of discharging me administratively, and said I could send you back to the jail calendar and you can go in front of Judge Russell and this and that. I said, that's fine. You're right. He said, he knew I'm a basketball fan, right? And it was the Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors and the double overtimes at the time. And he said, Doug, you're like the Golden State Warriors. You're going to choke at the end? And I said, if I'm the Golden State Warriors, don't discredit my 73 victories. I've had a record-setting year, and I've never done this before. This is all new to me, and I don't know what I'm really doing. But I know that I need to go to this place called Narcotics Anonymous because it makes sense to me. And what they were saying was my story. And I had some identification, and I wanted what they had, right? So I went to this place called the Make It Happen group on the Tuesday night in Harris Hill. And I found people just like me, young people in recovery that found a new way to live. And they were fellowshipping after, going to pool halls and bowling alleys and Denny's and pool halls and bowling alleys and Denny's, fellowshipping. So I dove in. I got a home group. I started going and doing service work. My home group down the street now, I started finding a new way to live, and I followed this next guy. This is a perfect little transition right into it. This next guy, our last speaker, he's like my Mariano, man. I know I can count on him. This man was my best man when I got married to my beautiful wife who's sitting over there, who sacrifices so much. Give it up for my wife real quick, please, because wave your hand so they know who you are, because gosh, she's still, she will never. Listen, man, my anchor. We all need at least that one, right? So thank you. And Phil was my best man at the most important day, right? And we've been walking in this journey together, right? And just doing so much, going through ups and downs, loss and success. And he's taught me how to build a credit score, how to be a dad in recovery, how to be a principled man, how to make the literature make sense and tie it to my experience and get experiences with living clean. And he's been a leader in service. And he's taught me so much about service, not just in the 12-step pathway, right? But other places, how to take it out into my community and do this stuff. And he just keeps it so simple, man. So thanks for always pushing me to be greater. I'm going to introduce to some, but present to others, my best friend, Phil L. Come on, Phil. Let's go. Give it up. You guys got to do better than that. Come on, Phil. Let's go. Let's go, baby. There's a beautiful family here today, too.
How's everybody doing?
All right.
Doug told me I started at 7:15. I'm super early, so definitely caught me off guard. I don't like speaking. When I do speak, it's typically in front of not overdose. Just build a successful, long life. I heard I missed the first couple of speakers. I heard a lot of good things. I'm a product of Kids Escaping Drugs. I'm a product of, Narcotics Anonymous, Al-Anon, Nar-Anon. I won't keep you guys hostage too much, but grew up in South Buffalo. Never been to Lockport. Dad was a drunk, heroin addict, used all day, every day. A lot of my childhood was, going to visit him in prison, or, him not being present for birthdays or events. I remember growing up, having a loneliness inside of me, and this void that I just could not fill. And I remember seeing my dad destroy his life and telling myself, I'm never going to be like that. How could he do that? Didn't make sense to me. Pulling out little needle caps from the laundry, or finding him in bathrooms passed out and overdosed. Some of the hardest times in my life, right? Watching my mother put up with him, put up with the anguish, put up with just one more, going to chase one more. And she never let go of that hope, and she wanted him to get clean, and he wouldn't stop. And I'm a big fan of our literature and Narcotics Anonymous, and it talks about we can be analyzed, locked up, threatened, beaten. We're not going to stop until we want to stop. And he was that addict, and he wasn't going to stop. And he had promises, right? And I don't know if you can identify with the promises, the false promises. I'm going to stop tomorrow. Tomorrow's the day. It's going to be done. I'm going to go to jail this last time, and I'm going to go to rehab, and I'm going to change my life, and I'm going to be a better father and a better husband and all that. And it never happened. I was broken at like 5 years old, man. About some things I can't disclose right now, but some things that happened to me, and I went through some events. I was lost, right? And I wanted a father figure in my life. It's all I ever wanted. I wanted a father figure in my life because he was absent. And I was a mama's boy, but I abused her, and I was never satisfied, and I always wanted more. So I took advantage of her, especially when my dad was gone. And I had good grades, went to Catholic school. Those things that we tell ourselves that are going to set us apart from other addicts because we're different, because we go to Catholic school and have good grades. Somehow addiction doesn't affect us, but it did. And no issues up until like high school. Mom got diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. And it was like... It was one of the hardest days of my life because I watched a woman who I trusted and loved and just looked up to like my everything just fall and cry and tell me that like she was dying. And my dad, who managed to put a couple stints of recovery together every now and again, maybe a couple months here or there. He introduced me to Narcotics Anonymous in different meetings when I was a young child. I didn't know what they were at the time, but I went to them. I remember being a crazy kid, running around the tables, driving people crazy. My sponsor, or his sponsor, calling the house and stuff. So I remember that he was part of the program. But fast forward, my mom got diagnosed. Over the course of like six months, my dad starts using. I'm a junior in high school, and I didn't touch anything, right? I didn't touch anything up until a junior year in high school because I was scared. I saw my dad go through it. I already knew. I didn't want nothing to do with that, but like hearing the news about my mom rocked my world. And I remember my buddies in high school were experimenting with some weed and drinking. And I'm like, well, I'll try one. Right? And I didn't, like, the earth didn't fall down. And like, when Dare would come in and they tell me I'm going to, like, the whole world's going to stop if I do this, it didn't stop, and I had a good time. But what I didn't realize was what the last speaker talked about was the disease of addiction. I didn't realize, like, addiction is a disease, right? It's progressive, it's incurable and fatal, and it wants to kill me every single day. So I put that first one in me, and over the course of a few months, my dad saw that I was doing that. And that father figure, that bonding that I wanted to have with my dad at the time finally came to fruition when he decided to use with me. So I had a crash course into the life of active addiction of like a 20-year time junkie, And his using buddies were my using buddies, and we used together every day. And up until my mom died. And I remember that day. And I didn't know what was going to happen or what was going to be my future. And hospice rolled her out, and we went to the funeral, and I was loaded, and it was a mess. And I can't give you too many details about some things, but me and my dad continued to use. Because at that point, that's all I knew what to do. And my dad was my everything. I looked up to that man, and if it was okay for him, it was okay for me. And I still had good grades, and I didn't have legal problems, and I didn't have consequences, so why not? Nobody could tell me anything. I just lost my mom. Me and my dad are having the time of our lives, so I thought. And this went on for like a year. I woke up, I'm a senior in high school at the time. I'm getting ready to go to school. I'm looking for my dad. I found him dead at the bottom of the stairs with a broken neck. And I was raised with a religion, and I'll tell you, and I don't endorse any specific religion because I truly believe that it's a spiritual program and people are entitled to their own beliefs. But I was raised with a religion, and that God that I was raised with, for me, man, like he was not present in my life. I had a resentment, right? Because like within a year and a half, I took both my parents and I moved in with my aunt. And, maybe some of you guys can identify, but if you're taking in a 16, 17-year-old addict who you don't know anything about addiction, like I tore her up. And I did what we do, and I continued to use, and I lied, and I cheated, and I stole, and life got worse. And that my aunt never gave up on me. She never gave up on me. I continued to use. I relapsed. I used. I got clean. In and out and in and out. And fast forward, without giving you, a half an hour story, I was introduced to Narcotics Anonymous and the rooms and recovery when I was 18. Kids Escaping Drugs, Renaissance House. They transferred me there from jail. Did 2.5 months in jail. Judge told me, if you go here, we'll let you out. I said, okay. I go in there. I run away. Like, that place was crazy to me because I wasn't ready. And I'm saying that because nobody could tell you when you're ready. And it's important because it took me 8 rehabs. 8. So, it's stories like Philly about having multiple years clean and coming to the rooms and hearing the message. And like, this is why I stay. This is why I keep coming, because like the disease of addiction scares me. Okay? I am so scared of going back out. I came in here with absolutely nothing. My clean date's 2/21/2012. I just celebrated 13 years. I came in here with nothing. I was completely broken. I had no self-esteem. I was homeless. I was living in a homeless shelter. My aunt, who took me in, had finally kicked me out because she was just tired of my promises. And I don't know if you know what like a mud room is. A little hallway before you get into the house. Before I got to the homeless shelter, one of her last attempts was like, oh, I'll let you live in the mud room. And I would like live and sleep in this mud room. And like, that's how bad it got. We're like, they're not letting us in the house anymore because I'm stealing, because I'm taking doors off the hinges, because I'm doing some crazy stuff that we said we're never going to do. And I remember like, listen, none of us grow up 5, 6, 7 years old and say, I'm just going to grow up and be a drug addict. I'm going to use the rest of my life. Like, that was not my plan. I had goals and dreams and aspirations, and like, we're good people. We suffer from a disease, not a moral dilemma. And it was important for me in recovery to understand that, because I came in here and I thought that like there was something wrong with me, that I'm a bad person. But really, I wasn't. So after 8 rehabs, after a ton of pain, after jail, after drug court, after psych wards, after every single buddy had given up on me, just about, I finally surrendered. And I decided that I just didn't want to live like that anymore. And I wanted to have something for my life. And it's because of Narcotics Anonymous. It's because of people like you who might not even be addicts or alcoholics or go to meetings. But it's just because of organizations that show up that are like, they told me it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to get an addict clean. Okay? I needed a ton of people. It took 8 facilities. I don't know why I'm here. I still don't know. I have no idea. I lost both of my parents. I lost some of my best friends. I've sponsored guys that went back out that used. I came in here with 2 goals. I wanted to have a family, and I wanted to help people. My family's sitting right here. And I'm scared. I'm scared because I hear stories like Philly's and I see other people, and like I have 4 amazing children, and it's a blessing, and it's scary, right? It is. But I truly believe that, like, if I stay in this process and continue to do the work and be here, because, like, listen, man, the stigma, in my opinion, this is my opinion, the stigma is worse than it was 10 years ago, right? Because, like, it's so socially acceptable to go out right now and drink and smoke weed, and kids are in school hitting vape pens, and parents are encouraging sleepovers and alcohol and parties, and like, it's madness. It's chaos. I can't go to a sports game for my kid without seeing weed or people drinking. And not to say that people need to conform or change for me, but it scares me because, like, our kids are going to be subjected to this. And so it's important that, like, we as a community, like, if you see something, you need to say something, and we need to be there for our children. And if something looks off, and, you know, my God, I don't know. It's one of my biggest fears, man. I'm really happy my kids weren't going to come here tonight. I'm really happy that they did, because it's a scary world out there, and there's a lot they don't understand. But like, look at all these families that are here today because of recovery. I came in, I got busy, I did a lot of work, I went back to school. I went from a college dropout to getting an associate's to getting a bachelor's to becoming a home opener, buying my first house right there on Walnut Street, to buying my second house in Amherst. I have a career today. I'm a taxpayer. Like, we wear a lot of hats, right? I'm a father. I'm a husband. All because of Narcotics Anonymous, all because of recovery, all because of people like you coming together trying to help people stay clean. So at times, it might seem like there's no hope, and I don't know if you're using, or you have a family member that's using, or you're just scared about something else, or don't give up hope. It might take 8 rehabs. It might take 10. I don't know. Don't enable them, but recovery is possible. I've seen, like, my best friends that are here, they heard this message, they never went back out. That can be your story. I don't believe relapse is a requirement. It does not have to happen. Like, you can stop using. And in a society like today where it's so socially acceptable, it's hard. And the stigma is real. And people are going to pressure you. And people are going to justify and manipulate the situation and make you feel bad. And, like, you don't have to. Recovery has afforded me the ability to just be a family member, be reliable, like Dougie was sharing, like, just show up today. That aunt who took me in back in 22, she passed away from cancer herself. She struggled with food. That was her addiction, right? This is overdose awareness. It's not just Narcotics Anonymous, right? She struggled with food. She was a food addict. She went to Overeaters Anonymous. She went to Al-Anon. She went to Nar-Anon. Like, there's a lot of, I don't care what A you go to, right? I heard somebody share that. Like, just find an A that works for you. Find a program or a group of people that want the best for you to help you in your life and your recovery. It doesn't matter to me. Like, we don't have to settle today. She passed away. I was able to be there for her. I was able to help with all the estate stuff. Like, what a blessing. What a blessing to be able to help a friend with credit scores and to be able to pay bills on time. Like, I don't know about anybody else, but, like, it was not tangible for me in active addiction. I wasn't able to do those things. I wasn't able to keep things. I was always able to get them, but I couldn't keep them. So, I don't know. I'm blessed. I'm truly blessed. I'm truly blessed. My best friends are here, man. They're in the program. My grandmother, my wife, my kids, my grandfather. Like, it's I wouldn't be where I'm at. And again, I don't deserve it, in my opinion. I don't know why I'm here. But I'm hoping that I have helped somebody and that my message can help somebody. Everything that I've accomplished today was because of this. And I'm going to continue to come. I'm going to continue to try to be the best father that I could be, the best parent, the best husband, the best you know, responsible and productive member of society, I'm going to fall short. Relapse does happen sometimes. Some of us fall down. Some of us make mistakes, and that's okay. What's important is where you're going, what we're going to do about it. How can we help you, right? And that starts with like that first step and that admission and that powerlessness. So if you are struggling, man, like don't be afraid. Don't be embarrassed. Don't wait. Don't wait. I don't want to bury my kids. I don't want you to bury your kids, right? I don't want my kids to live a life without their parents. Like I could be a dad today for my kids that I didn't have. My kids don't have to see me use. I don't know, you know. Dougie, thank you wherever you are. It really is an honor. I spoke here once like 7 years ago, and I'm reflecting on how far I've come since then, and it's just wild, man. I don't know, you know. I remember being in those seats in different rooms, thinking, how am I ever going to get there? It's never going to be possible. I'm never going to get a day. I'm never going to get a month. I'm never going to get a year. And now, like, we celebrated 13 years, and we do this together because one big family. Like, we do it together. It's nothing. I'm doing nothing any different than anybody else. I've just decided to stay. So, like, thank you for being here. I know this is a ton of work. I know putting these events on is hard. But without stuff like this, without community awareness, without families getting involved, without people knowing that there's resources and help available to you, it's so much harder. I do a lot of service work. I'm the area chair of Narcotics Anonymous in this area. I was the vice chair for a few years. I've done H&I. We go into facilities. Like, this stuff is life-changing, man. We're saving people's lives. I'm just blessed to be a part of it. I'm blessed to be a part of it. We all have struggles. We all struggle. We all have demons. And this is mine. I'm an act named Phil. Thanks for letting me share.
Such a well-oiled machine. In past years, we've had meeting after meeting after meeting leading up to this thing, and we didn't meet once this year. Because it's such a well-oiled machine, or because I just like to try to take on way too much too, probably, right? But without you guys, like, I wouldn't be able to be where I'm at and be able to put this thing together with everybody that's here. You guys are what make this thing happen, not me, not the idiot up here with the microphone right now, I promise you. I'm just the guy that gets to get the fruits of my recovery, right? And the fruits of the labor that others have put in, like Phil just talked about, right? I just followed a simple path. That's it, right in the predecessor's feet. You know, right in my friends' feet, and lost dreams awaken, and new possibilities have arisen for me, right? Have like I always say, God has checked boxes for me that I didn't even know existed, right? Because I was willing to put the work in and stay through the uncomfortable, and not use when I felt like it, and just doubling down. I always talk about the double down, because there's a lot of times that some of us are going to think, whether you're a grieving loved one, a family member, a friend, you're going to think like that there's no help, but you're not walking this path alone. And every time in my early recovery, I used to think things like, maybe I should just try it on my own, or da-da-da. It's not, I wasn't getting the instant gratification, right? I wouldn't share in a meeting and get exactly what I wanted back. But every time I chose to double down, in the 11th step, it talks about sometimes we need to practice long periods of patience. It doesn't have a timeline on that or what the situation may be. It varies. And I was telling someone yesterday who's struggling to get clean, because I got a lot of friends around the world, not just the country. I said, what you're going through right now isn't really about you. It's about you being able to give it to somebody else down the road. And there's so many paradoxes in recovery. In giving, we receive, right? You can only keep what you got by giving it away, right? Which is the hope. And I got these last remarks that I want to. We're going to be ringing the bell tonight. The toughest part for me is this part, the bell, because all of us have lost somebody in one way, shape, or form, right? And in the past year, 58 in Niagara County up until the beginning of August. And I've been told that there's maybe 3, maybe 4 this month, right? So the number that we're using is 58. The numbers are down. The overdoses, right? Reported overdoses, 25%. What that means, right? Give it a round of applause. That's a lot of, listen, that means that people are more equipped with Narcan. There's a caveat to this though, right? That means a lot of people, it's not reported a lot of times because people are equipped, they're saving people, right? First responders aren't being called as much to everything. Hopefully more people are finding recovery. More resources definitely are available than they were when I got clean in 2016. But we still have a lot of work to do until we don't have to ring this bell. And then we still have work to do. We still have work to do. We've come a long ways, but we have a long ways to go. And this guy named Jimmy K that founded Narcotics Anonymous and some friends of his, right? Because addicts just weren't finding the full identification they needed when they would go to Alcoholics Anonymous, man. He always talked about the addict that's not born yet. And I understand that the work that I'm putting in and the work that every one of you are putting in, whether you work in this field or not, it's about the people that aren't born yet. I got toddlers like Phil. I'm down 1. I got 3. He's got 4. He's got me beat there. But it's my kids may need these resources one day. And your grandkids and your kids and your great-grandkids may need these resources. Somebody's will. I can almost guarantee that. So it's imperative that we continue to put this work in, right? Day after day, minute after minute, year after year. So I'll say this before I tell everyone to go get the candles. Listen, we got what we got over there. So if there's 2 of you got to hold 1 candle, please do it. I cried writing this. I cried reading it. I've read it to tons of people. I read it. My wife's like, send it to me. Last night I was bothering her. She was in bed. I'm like, babe, listen to what I got. She's like, just send it to me. I said, no, I want to read it. Because sometimes I just need to feel it. I need to feel the impact, right? And I also need to proofread my own crap, too. Because everything looks perfect to me all the time when I do it. Amen. Amen. Pray for me, Steve. But here it is. As we come to the close of tonight's gathering, we turn to one of the most meaningful and solemn parts of our rally. Each ring of this bell represents a precious life lost in the past year here in Niagara County. 58 lives too soon. When we hear the sound of this bell, we don't just hear a number or a ding. We hear an echo of a name, a smile, a laugh, a presence that mattered deeply to so many. We hear the love of families, the devotion of friends, and the heartbreak of loss. But as we stand here tonight together, let this sound also be a call to carry their memory forward, a call to keep breaking the silence, a call to keep breaking the stigma, a call to fight for hope, for healing, and for change in our communities and beyond. To those who grieve, know this: you're not alone. You do not walk this path alone, I promise you. This gathering, year after year, is proof that together we can carry each other through anything. Out of our pain grows strength, and out of our unity grows hope. As we leave tonight, after all is said and done, let's not just remember the lives we've lost, or the pictures on that board, or the names on that ribbon, but honor them by the way that we live, by choosing compassion over judgment, connection over isolation, and hope over despair. Understanding this is a disease, not a moral failing. Though we say goodbye tonight, our loved ones live on through us. And as long as we gather, as long as we speak their names, they will never be forgotten. And this was not in vain. So thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for standing together year after year, and for reminding the world that love always outshines the darkness, and love conquers everything. Go home tonight after all is said and done with courage in your heart. Be motivated to have a conversation, to help break the stigma and help somebody else, knowing that together we are stronger, and together we keep hope alive. So to that I say thank you. To every one of you who year after year come out here and support us. And we look forward to seeing your faces again next year. And if you have the courage and you want to talk about something and you want to share about something, just know that you can reach out. Get our numbers before you leave here tonight. Don't be afraid to reach out. Reaching out is the beginning of the struggle that'll set you free. That's my experience. That's what I've learned in my recovery. So with that being said, I'm going to play one more song as people will get the candles from that table over there. Raise your hand, Linz and Spence. Hi. We're going to have a flameless candlelight vigil, so if you guys could get the candles, like I said, some of you might have to have two to a candle. That's fine. I hope. Don't fight over candles. And we know you're an addict if you can't take just one, right? So don't be trying to steal candles. No, that's a joke. This didn't land. Went over like a lead balloon, whatever. So yeah, and then we're going to stand up front here, and Spencer is going to be the one ringing our bell. Pastor Steve is going to say a couple words real quick, and then we're going to pray at the end as well. Pastor Steve, come on up.
If anybody lost their keys, I just found them over here. A couple of fobs. Just walk around and figure out where they are. Mickey, come here. Angela, come here. As you guys are getting your candles, I want to remind you that if you have a loved one and you want to create a dedication for them, we have these over here. We're sticking them on our big old candle over there. But I want to introduce you to, well, I guess I have to introduce you to three of the women in my life, but I mean to introduce you to two of them. This is Michaela. Michaela is in my custody. We're caring for her. And this is my wife, Angela. She's also in my custody, and I care for her. Both of them have people in their lives that have struggled with addiction. They have suffered in ways that are unimaginable. I don't have a monopoly on heartbreak and grief. I have too many names. And maybe you're like me. Maybe you have too many names to fit on one of these. But these beautiful women, they've had to suffer through their parents. People that are supposed to provide for them, supposed to be caring about them. And they've suffered in ways that are unimaginable. Because they had to walk through addiction as children with parents who were walking through addiction. In doing so, I have brother-in-laws now that are walking that same path. They're walking the path of addiction. And it's hard. Something that I say constantly, I will come and I will visit the meetings that meet in our building, and I will, just because I want you to know that I love you. I want you to know that you're important. I want you to know that if you're here and you lost a loved one and they ever came to a meeting at the Fig Tree, I probably came in and told them that I loved them and that they mattered and that they had value and that I care about what is happening. But I've never suffered the way my wife suffered, the way Michaela has suffered. But it doesn't mean that we don't love them too. So your loved one, the name on here, they were loved. Not just by you. And that's heartbreaking. And I, for one, am done. I'm just done. I'm sick of writing names. I'm sick of seeing faces that I'll never see again. I'm sick of seeing those faces. 58's too many. And I'm not calling you out. If you are in recovery, thank you. Right? Michaela's mom and dad, they are in recovery, and we are so grateful for that. We are so thankful for that. We praise God every day for mom and dad. Yeah, you. If you're struggling and you're walking through it, you don't have to walk through it alone. If you're struggling because you lost someone, you don't have to do that alone either. Look around, every single one of us. We've all been there. Or we are there. I want you to know that you don't have to do it alone. You are not unloved. You are not unworthy. You are amazing and incredible, and I want to see you succeed. I never want to hear you as a tone on a bell. Reach out. Each and every person, they want to help. They want to love you. They want to care for you. Reach out. And if you haven't, we're here. We're here to pray with you. We're here to love you. We all are. Thank you for giving me that moment.
Thank you, Pastor Steve. Yet again, I want to give a big thanks to everyone agency-wide that came out. Western New York Independent Living, with the agency that I work for. I've been there for 7 years, and they've supported us every step through the way. Our IT guy, Dave, sitting up front, man. Give a big round of applause for him hauling 6 big speakers out here, right? I appreciate you and your tech team coming out every year. We got Narcotics Anonymous, Dale Association, Horizon Health Services, Casanova Recovery, Western New York Independent Living in Niagara County back there. Yay. We got Beacon Center, Save the Michaels, Anchoring Hope, so many champions. Fig Tree Fellowship. I hope I didn't miss you. If you did, yell it. North Point, let's go. Where you at? My bad. It's Troy Boy. He would never let me miss that. So, Dale, I already got them. Come on, I think. Mark Nettleton, where you at? Yeah, thank you, Dale Association, the treatment courts, and everyone that's come out here. If you haven't got a candle, there's some candles left. I see some people reaching in them bags. If you need a candle, go get it now. Last call for the candle. I'm going to play this song, and then we're going to do the bell ring ceremony. Thank you. This song is titled Say Their Name.
There's a candle burning in the breeze tonight for every soul that lost the fight. Photographs on purple walls, a silent cry, 1,000 calls. You see the tears behind the signs, grief wrapped in picket lines. We gather not to curse the flame, we gather here to say their name. Say their name, let it echo loud, from empty rooms to thunder clouds. They were more than what they used, more than battles that they bruised. We were purple for the pain, for the lives we can regain. But in this fight, we still remain, lighting hope and say their name. He was funny, she was kind, before the sickness stole their shine. A script to slip, a lonely night, the darkest days, the hardest fight. But don't you dare reduce their worth to one bad choice on this wide earth. They were sisters, brothers, lovers, friends. This isn't where their story ends. Say their name, let it echo loud, from empty rooms to thunder clouds. They were more than what they used, more than battles that they bruised. We wear purple for the pain, for the lives we can't regain. But in this fight we still remain, lighting hope and say their name. We fight for knocking open doors, for second chances, something more. We build a world that doesn't shame, where healing grows and hope can flame. Say their name, let it echo wide, across the street and countryside. Let their story spark the change, let their lives not end in vain. We wear purple for the pain, but in love we still remain. So light the sky, break the chains, raise your voice and say their name.
Father God, I pray for those families. God, I pray for those mothers, brothers, and sisters. daughters and sons. God, I pray that you would give them peace and hope. Father, I pray for those friends. God, I pray that you would give them courage to speak up. And God, I pray that all those people who are still out suffering from this awful disease, God, that you would reach them. God, you would direct them. God, you would give them a way out. God, I pray for each and every person who is here. God, each and every person within the sound of my voice. God, I pray that you would comfort their hearts. God, I pray for peace. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Once again, I want to say thank you. Give a big round of applause for yourselves, please. Let's not leave this without remembering the effort and the work that every one of you are putting in and continuing to put in this fight against addiction, right? And like I said earlier, I'll say it again, until the end of time, we've come a long ways, but we have a long ways to go, right? So continue to have that uncomfortable conversation, make that uncomfortable phone call, pray for the one that you really can't stand, reach out and realize that you don't have to be the one to do the helping sometimes. I've learned in my recovery, sometimes I'm just the one to plant the seed. And I don't have to stay around to be the one to water it, right? Or to put the soil down. Someone else might do that, right? So be intentional with your conversations, right? And support the ones that you love and the ones that are struggling from addiction and or mental health, because they're both very important, and they're hand holders, right? And understand that, once again, this is not a moral failing. This is a disease that we're fighting, right? So you wouldn't stigmatize a cancer patient or a diabetic with this thing, right? So let's support the ones that we love, support yourselves, find the resources. You could reach out to Independent Living in Niagara County, Western New York Independent Living, Addict to Addict Niagara, 24/7 through Facebook, through our hotline. Don't leave without the resources at that table. There's never a bad time to call for help, right? And if you got breath in your lungs, you got a chance to get it right. So don't suffer in silence. And like my good friend Kalichi says all the time, he says, I'm here to be the voice for every friend I've ever lost. So I say thank you guys, and we hope to see you guys soon and talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much. Thank you to my team yet again. Once again, thank you.